Welcome, everyone. This is The Ends Justify the Memes, the show where the lowest of the low, that is the most wretched of wretched and deplorable to end all deplorables. Two white, heterosexual Christian males from the American South who talk about culture, philosophy, history, health, fitness, and what it means to be a man in the 21st century. I'll be your host, Bill, and this is my producer and co-host, Tank. And below us today, we have our friends, two Californians, the weekly narrative, Jeremy and Delaney. So,
hey,
folks,
talk as much trash as you want. It's nice weather.
Sunny and beautiful outside.
64 degrees today in old West Virginia, at least where I'm at.
Pretty good.
Yeah. So, guys, crack open a beer and lend us your ear because the ends always justify the memes. Tank, you drinking another one already, man? What?
I came to party.
It's because you're drinking girl
He's
drink.
ready.
Girl drinks.
These are girl drinks.
Yeah, him and his hard seltzer. He's ready. To go.
It's a little strange. I gotta be real, because it says grapefruit, but it tastes kind of like grapefruit and a sweaty stripper G-string or something.
Like aerosol version of grapefruit.
Yes, it's a
grapefruit air freshener.
I don't trust it. Who makes these guys? New York City. No.
China.
Yeah, probably. We'll see how it goes.
Well, if it's a White Claw, then it's made by the guys who make Mike's Hard Lemonade. So
hell yeah. No, this is a Bon Vie.
Bon Vie.
Bon Vie. Someone who's like into these things, like, oh no, Bon Vie is like the best one. It's way better than White Claw.
Yeah,
and I don't know.
Gay or French or both.
Austin, Texas original right here. Tito's.
So
Straight
we do
Tito's.
have a viewer, one of my regulars at least. Bonnie, I was hoping some other people will come over, but maybe they'll pick up as the night goes on. It's not
Come
the
on,
Super
people.
Bowl again, is it?
Share it with your friends. Let us know we're here.
Yeah.
Probably have a couple of my OGs stopping by, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we've had
streams,
others with
they
us.
usually don't get going until, like half an hour in. So
I tend to catch you guys with that too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm getting a little bit of echo from somebody. If it's still
probably me. Let me adjust my volume here.
Or do we want to switch to headphones?
I think let's try to roll with this. We'll do a volume adjustment. If it still persists, then we can further fix the issue.
Yeah, not a big deal. I can work through it. Obviously, I don't use headphones either. So, in any case, Tank. Well, you're producing, dude. So you should be all about that. You shouldn't even be seen. I don't even know why you show your face.
Put him behind the curtain.
Yeah, put him behind the curtain where he belongs, especially with that mustache.
I'll just get behind the manatees, and you guys won't be able to see me.
The manatees. Yeah.
In any case, man, let's play the Memecast News intro here.
Okay.
All right, it's incumbent on you to have the memes pulled up. There you go.
It is, bro. I can pull up, but I never pull out.
So here we have some candid shots of Biden back at the office.
Hey.
He's watching the cuties.
Yeah, and the news has been rather stagnant with Biden up until this past week, and all of a sudden, all hell has broken loose. I mean, aside from his rolling back everything to Obama Bush era style tactics and policies. So we have, of course, everyone's heard this by now, but let's see here. We didn't have the vaccine when I came into office.
Oh yeah,
December 21st.
That was a good one. Yeah.
January 11th. Yep.
I think he forgot that he took the vaccine.
I mean, did he remember it ever in the first place? Is the question.
Probably not. Yeah.
Yes.
Or did he even get the vaccine? Because there's conspiracies that he didn't even get it. That was all just staged.
Did you hear about? I forget who it was. Some news outlet was covering how he was unlike his predecessors. He was a early to bed type. Unlike other presidents, he thought a good night's sleep was a good thing.
Oh, I mean, it is, but
Right. Well, they had to justify. They had to preempt the questions that people were undoubtedly going to ask regarding him putting a lid on the day at 9:00 every single day.
Yeah.
So
I like to be in bed at a crisp 11 a.m.
Well, I jumped there meme, but here, I actually made a meme, guys, for the show. It's amazing. On occasion, I do stuff. As a guy holding this Trump ban, he says, for 4.5 years with this on my wrist, 4.5 years of that man living like malware in our brains.
yeah.
4.5 years of disgrace I never accepted and never will. In the name of humanity, we refuse to accept a fascist America. F Trump.
The mental illness does not go away with Trump. It's here to stay, folks.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's some serious mental illness.
Well, the mental illness is for sure here to stay because we have a Alzheimer patient in the White House. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
Well, you know what they say. The president, if you listen to these people anyway, what they'll tell you is that the more important role for the president is to be a role model for the people, not to be a leader of the country, right? Because that's what we heard with Trump anyway. So in this case, we're trying to have a Alzheimer patient as a role model. So you want to emulate that, we want to let our mental illness really come out here.
we need more Alzheimer's everywhere.
Yeah.
People.
Yeah,
More
I mean,
of it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Sunsetting of
That's
the
the bottom
nation
line
could-
here.
The sunsetting of our nation should go with the sunsetting of our leaders. That's the way I see it, right? So here we have Biden. He's obviously a fan of this guy. He says, I like this guy. I'll send him to the liberal re-education camps. Here's a list of all of his accomplishments so far, or non-accomplishments. I'm not going to read through all these, but I do want to make note of the first one. He says, I won't ban fracking. Bans fracking first day, kills tens of thousands of jobs.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's not good.
We'll slowly get away from Keystone over 2 years. And he basically eliminated that immediately, to which this happened. Gas prices shot up faster than a Biden vote count at 2 a.m. And he also had some choice things to say about black folk, and we figured out how he understood if they knew how to use the internet or not. So
I'm seeing this chart come up a lot more in recent times for some reason. The Family Guy references, yeah.
And then we have this mighty video. Matt Christensen beat me to this, so if you watch this show, you might have seen this already.
A lot of people don't know how to register. Not everybody in the community, the Hispanic and the African American community, particularly in rural areas that are distant and or inner city districts, know how to get online to determine how to get in line for that COVID vaccine.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah,
That one's been circulating the internet for a while, and it's pretty wonderful.
Has this guy been doxxed yet?
I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure that's his little tag there in the corner. So for someone's.
Get him.
Yeah, right. Did the sound come through on that? Just
Yeah,
okay?
I heard it. Yeah.
Okay,
I heard it.
Sweet. I've been forgetting to click the little sound share box, so when I do these things, we're getting mostly my mic sound. Such as a show, right? We'll get better. So here, Joe Biden, being the nice guy he is telling all the black people about the internet.
Oh, all hail. All hail the mighty Biden.
Yeah, and speaking of which, he is very well known around the black pools. And to, whoa, this keeps jumping. In order to commemorate that, we have Sniffin' Joe's Corn Pop. 360 puppet inside. And so,
To come with hairy legs.
yeah, I'm sure it does. Speaking of black folk, of course, we all know it is the close of Black History Month. We will not be back until then. So I wanted to make sure that we all knew you could go down to Walmart. They have great shirts for only $13.52. I am Black History.
Damn.
Isn't it 1356 or is it 1352?
I don't know, man. 1350 is the usual meme.
I'll take 1352.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good bargain for I Am Black History t-shirt.
Yeah, and of course, then we have Tariq Nasheed here. He says, fact, a black man created the modern Russian language. Alexander Pushkin Happy Black History Month. To which I fact checked because I was like, really?
Is that true? Yeah.
No, it's not. The black man that supposedly created the modern Russian language had a great grandfather that was a Central African. His great grandfather was a black man. So
he's rocking that 0.01% genealogy of black men.
I'm sure Tariq would also say that the first African space-faring citizen is Elon Musk too, by that logic.
Yeah, definitely.
Holy hell. So are we bringing back the one drop rule for this now? Is that what it is?
Apparently. I mean, even the Nazis thought that was too harsh. So, some real black history. In 1995, Smokey became the first black man to get catfished.
Oh, no.
Oh.
No.
That is real black history there.
I'm too white for that reference.
You never
Sorry.
seen
How do you not know
Friday?
Friday?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well,
You must be too young, Jeremy. Too young.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah,
It's
we'll go with
it's
too young.
It's not too white. It's too young.
There we go.
Says the first black woman VP is deporting Africans while simultaneously drone strikes on African countries like Somalia. It says last week, Biden administration deported hundreds of Jamaicans and Haitians. Today, this week and month, they are set to deport close to 2,000 Africans and Caribbeans.
huh?
It's too bad because those are the good blacks.
Yeah, those are the.
Yeah, Jamaicans, they work.
They work hard.
African Americans, Africans,
Yeah, Africans.
and Haitians, Caribbeans.
Yeah,
It's the African American culture that's terrible.
I agree. I would agree. Yeah, we actually know that Nigerians that move here are like very, very well off.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
they're star performers.
Yeah.
They usually don't like African Americans very much.
No,
They don't. They're like, ugh, don't even like categorize me with them.
they don't want to be
Well,
associated.
that cultural subset still has that. I would kind of agree with Candace Owens' point that they're kind of on that Democratic plantation. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Here we have Twitter doesn't like when you point out black people's indirect accomplishments during Black History Month. It says without blacks, we wouldn't have inventions like bike locks and home security systems.
Oh, my God.
Based.
That's spicy.
That's a
I'm glad
super
you-
spicy.
Glad you approve. Glad you approve. Hey, it wasn't
Comedy
me.
is out
Who
loud.
else tweeted it? So from Andy No, two Milwaukee, Wisconsin males have been arrested and charged over beating and gang rape of an Asian American woman. They allegedly filmed themselves laughing while committing the crimes. And then we have
Sounds
this
like
from
white
Mike.
supremacy.
Yeah, we have this from Mike. I want justice for anti-Asian violence, but not at the expense of black people.
Huh.
Hmm.
Well, if the black people are doing it, then we're kind of at an impasse there.
Yeah. Speaking of black justice, George Floyd got a pretty bad shake on his first deal, but the second one they corrected. They corrected. Vile Valentine, LAPD investigates inappropriate George Floyd Valentine photo captioned, "You take my breath away." Posted by staff. And just
Oh my
to remind
God.
anyone, this channel never did any such a thing ever. Never posted such a Valentine ever. Was not
That's just-
not a thing.
We need to say his name, guys. Come on now.
His name. And the SJWs all sang.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Saying
And then
like
we have,
acquired chicks.
yeah. Then we have racists are mad about a Queen of England being portrayed by a beautiful, talented black actor in a historical drama. Why is whiteness so fragile? You're good with a black actor playing Anne Frank, right? How about a remake of Chandler's List that feature exclusively black actors? And then the retort is, why don't you just go ahead and write "I hate Jews" instead, it's a lot quicker. Which how
What
does everybody
the?
go, "I hate Jews"? What?
Yeah, that escalated quickly.
Whoa, now.
I wonder if she's referencing the New York black community and Jewish community conflict that has been going on for many a year.
No.
I'm wondering, but hey, she should have no problem with this new movie starring Ryan Gosling. about our former president. And I think
like
Ryan was a good pick for this.
I think
He's half white. I mean, I'm pretty sure Brian's full white, but I mean, Obama's half white. So
Yeah.
why not?
It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then Jeremy, you'll appreciate this. It says Elon Musk becomes world's richest person as wealth tops 185 billion. It's just refreshing to see that despite all prejudices, an African American can reach the apex of industry.
It's true. There you go.
There you go.
He's actually, by the printing of this meme, he lost $15 billion, no joke. And I believe Bezos is back on top.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. Bitcoin took a shit.
Yeah.
Oh, darn. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So here we have Ted Cruz. I believe in climate change when Texas freezes over.
Oops.
2016. And of course, now I only crossed the border to Mexico so my kids could have a better quality of life.
One day it will be the truth. That got me wondering the other day. When do Americans qualify for refugee status into other countries if we're fleeing social justice and communism? I'm starting to look at my options here, and I want to see what countries I can get access to. You know what I mean? Shopping around.
I would suggest going to somewhere like Bali where they don't care about this crap. And
That's
it's
what I'm
just a bunch
thinking
of
too.
Expats. Yeah.
Yep.
That's where I
Thailand
would go
or
if I
Bali
wasn't
or something
married.
like that.
Honestly.
Not to mention Bali's gorgeous.
Yeah, but you're not going to have any guns or anything. You have to run the government.
You're gonna have
It's
to
okay.
you're gonna have to sharpen some sticks and defend yourself the old-fashioned way.
Train tarantulas and snakes to defend my home.
There you go.
It's literally though a bunch of expat like Kiwis and Aussies and Americans. That's the majority of it. So,
Yep.
So here we have Ohio drivers be like, "Where to cross?" We'll get that. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of one of those guys.
I can't relate. We don't get snow where we are.
My cars look like that. I've lived in Michigan for 9 years.
So here we have, don't be muzzled by a liberal coat. Winter is a hoax. Refuse to live in fear. And Wim Hof accepts this challenge. Wim Hof is awesome, by the way. Wim Hof breathing is very good for you, if you were not aware.
I got to get into that. I've watched the documentary and everything. I just haven't tried the breathing exercises.
He has an app. It was free, but now I think you get a trial where you can use it, where he'll actually tell you the pacing of the breathing. You can do it. You can challenge yourself.
It's hard. I went to a kettlebell seminar, and the warm up was a guy that was like a Wim Hof certified kind of guy, and we did the whole Wim Hof thing, and I was wore out from that. I didn't even want to like swing kettlebells anymore. I was like, bro, this is 30 minutes of this intense breathing is enough for me.
I don't know, maybe because I've done so much breath work over the years, but that
Oh,
to
have
me,
you?
it seemed,
Have you, Bill?
I have, buddy.
You've
I
done a
have.
lot of breath work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buddy,
I'm sensing a little tension here, you guys.
Where do you think you got the luscious voice from?
in any case,
You don't have to get into that.
breath work, yes, important. I don't think it's that hard. Maybe you were doing it wrong, is what I was going to say.
No, I'm just out of shape.
I was going to say, I think this is more out of
I'm
shape.
out of shape too, man. You only need to do like 3 rounds. Like I think I've done 10 total. I've never done a fully.
We did it for I bet 15 minutes.
Oh well, that's like maybe 10 rounds.
Yeah, that was serious shit.
All right.
I was like, I need a beer after this.
So much air, I can't handle it.
Can't do it. I'm not cut out.
Says, who wants to stop climate change? And of course, everyone says me. Who wants to tell China, which is responsible for 1/3 of the global CO2 emissions, to reduce its pollution so we can stop climate change?
I love how Angela Merkel is crying.
I like how Justin Trudeau went to blackface.
I thought that was Venom for a second. Spider-Man.
And then we got what's her name? Greta Thunberg. How dare you?
Great
Yeah.
Thunberg.
Says, don't mind us. We're just burning hundreds of gallons of jet fuel to de-ice this clean energy wind turbine.
Yep. Don't even look over here, guys. Don't even pay attention. It's all good.
Well, I mean, all of this is because of climate change. Didn't you know if we don't stop the warming of the earth, it'll get colder?
Yeah, we only have 9 years left too. So
I
Right.
don't know
start prepping.
I understand like weather and climate are two different things, and unpredictability and whatever else, and that every climate model they've ever had has been wrong. But how do you believe that the Earth getting warmer means that winters are going to be colder? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for what it's worth, we just set a record yesterday in Sacramento, new record high, and we're gonna do it again. I think a couple times this week. So, just because Texas is retarded, don't count global warming out. Okay.
Yeah. And here we have in 2065, old Greta's still at it. We still only have 1 month left.
Why does she look like Hillary Clinton?
Why would she not?
It's what happens when you sell your soul to the devil. Okay, you just turn out looking like Hillary.
And this is pretty much how I feel about the situation. 13 million head of cattle in Texas, and none of their farts warmed up anything. I had another one which got misplaced where it was like Bill Gates said something about cows being worse than cars emissions. The guy's like, I'll spend the night in a garage with a cow, and you can spend the night running your car, and we'll see who comes out in the morning. You know?
Right?
Yeah. So, Biden had to consult Barack here. He says, I'm sending Hunter to Texas to help out. No, Joe. Texas has cracked pipes, not crack pipes.
Oh.
We haven't heard anything about old Hunter Biden in a while.
You know, someone said that on Jeremy and Delaney's show last night, and I happen to be a regular Tuesday watcher. And I have Hunter right here. He's right here with us today. It says, when your dad wrote a crime bill that puts blacks away for decades, but you ain't black.
Hey now.
Sick of seeing people wear 2 masks like this? We get it. You voted for Joe Biden. Hey, folks, get a pen. Stop being an idiot. Stop suffocating yourself. Or just put the plastic bag over your head. Please actually don't do that, because
Plastic bags are 100% effective.
100% effective at killing all germs.
Did you see, where was it? Did you see where they were bringing people out with plastic? I think it was in Australia. Is that where it was? I cannot remember. They're bringing people out of this hospital into like a transport vehicle with plastic bags over their head, literally.
Really?
I wish I had this. Yes, you can Google search.
I haven't seen it, but I am not surprised in the slightest.
Yes. Okay, so we have AIDS patients get the virus, die of the virus. Person with the virus killed in a car crash, died of the virus. Healthy older person dies after getting vaccinated, die because they were old.
Of course.
Dar-
Good old Friends memes.
It's
yeah,
the magic of numbers. You count them any way you want.
I hate Friends, but my wife is so basic, she loves it. So, you know.
I've never seen a single episode.
Never?
Yeah.
I
Wow.
never would either,
You would hate
unless
it.
I was strapped to a chair. Orange.
I mean, it was good when it came out and I was in middle school. And then I got a life, and it was, you know.
Well,
but,
now we know now the Chinese know when they invade what to torture you
That
with.
would be a great torture method.
The Chinese do love Friends too. It's a really big. It's really popular in China. Yeah.
Weird.
Of course. If you ever have a bad day, the people who called you a conspiracy theorist now look like this. just remember, folks.
I saw a guy double mask in a car yesterday.
By himself?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You would literally think that some brain cell would kick in at some point and they would be like, wait a minute, I don't really know anyone that's died. I mean, like, what's holding people back? And as far as I know, it's this. You know, you either take the red brain or the blue mask.
I like that.
I like that one too.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It looks like a street post. Someone made that, stuck it up there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Matrix 4.
I want to make a bunch of them, just put them up everywhere.
Wait, they're making a 4th Matrix?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, but they're going to recorrect the red pill, blue pill thing. 1,000% guarantee. Reparations for slavery could have reduced the COOF transmission and deaths in the U.S. Harvard study says.
Of course. That's
there
what
anything
we were
reparations
missing.
can't do?
If they could turn back time. I
If
mean-
I could turn
Turn
back
back
time.
time. Oh,
Well,
yep,
I mean-
me and Tim were on it.
And speaking of Hunter and the Coof, here's some Coke.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of Coke, do you renounce your whiteness in all its works? I do. Then I baptize you in the name of diabetes.
Diabetes. That was pretty awesome.
Rest in peace, Wilford Brimley.
Yes. This is G Prime 85, who has some of the best comics. By the way, Coke has started a new ad campaign. Here's something they're flying out there for their magazine ads. Be less white.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I mean, that is one way to be less white. That's true.
I really want a Coke now.
Makes me want to go out and buy Coca-Cola even more.
And then here we have some television marketing ads they're playing around with.
For Coca-Cola and learn to be less white.
Less white. If I could be less white.
Our new employee diversity training will help you understand what it means to be racist, aka white.
Less white. If I could be less white.
Don't be another dumb, useless, honky, white trash idiot. Look at this goofball. Pull down your pants, cracker.
Less white. If I could be less white.
Be less white. Work for Coca-Cola today.
That is terrifying. Oh my God.
I think
Well,
Coca-Cola needs to take this guy on as a marketing rep.
well, this is a more polished final version, you know.
Stop being white.
And here's a new banner they're looking at, a little name change, Coca-Cola.
Got to get that woke Coke.
Yeah. Of course, this is kind of how I feel. I don't know how to be less white, but I know how to drink less Coke. And I don't drink soda anyways, or at least rarely. So not too concerned about it. But the truth is that, you know, they have a dark, dark past. Coca-Cola does.
Oh, look at them.
And
Proud sponsor of the KKK.
pretty sure those are some Cokes.
Oh, man. And it's on my birthday, of course.
That's America's birthday.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Delaney? My birthday? Man. It is funny you mentioned that, though, because I just saw a bunch of tweets because my birthday was just the other week. And all those tweets I used, like half of them were on my birthday. It's like, why is every single one of these on my birthday? Happy birthday to me and the show, right? Anyways, so speaking of woke rebranding, Aunt Jemima was looking at Aunt Justina. Are you still just waffling? Aunt Justina, pandemic waffling syrup. Perfect for when you have no idea what you are doing to stop the coof pandemic. He's dreamy still, even in blackface.
Oh my God.
So we all know everything sucks, but you better get comfortable because it's going to get worse.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that
now-
dude,
Sit
I
back and
can't
relax,
believe
folks.
they ain't making music anymore. I'm so sad.
Oh,
Rip Daft Punk.
R.I.P. Daft Punk.
They sucked anyway. They were only good back like 20 years ago.
I have like,
I can still
like
listen to their
2 or
old
3
shit, which
songs
is
of
the
theirs
only
on my
good stuff
phone,
I
and
want.
that's pretty much it. I don't know why this was a big deal, but when I saw Bender and C-3PO, I was like, dude, sweet.
It's a nice crossover.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Especially Bender, man. No, like, what are you gonna say about Bender? Other than he's a drunk asshole robot. I mean, he's awesome. In any case, I have no segue to this whatsoever, but I just liked it. Welcome to New York. You are under arrest.
It's about all it takes.
Yeah, I feel that. Every time we go up. Well, Jeremy's going to miss this one, and, whatever. It's Cuomo, the Grandma Slayer. Stay home, stay alive. And
Nobody cared about the grandmas anyway.
In his brand new adventure.
Oh my God. The people that run this country are just fucking with us at this point. Like, there's no way that like they put this shit up. Like we knew from the get-go that Cuomo was full of shit. And then finally it comes out that he's full of shit and there's no denying it. And we're just supposed to be like, oh, well, whatever. No, not news here or anything.
We're just supposed to call him a decent man, and hopefully he does a good job. That's all.
Things that you're supposed to care about are dictated by the media now, okay? Tank, you don't get to decide that anymore.
Yep. And you're not even supposed to criticize anything. Nope.
Right. We talked about this last week, and that we all knew this. We all knew this had came out months ago. We knew that they flopped this. We don't know, but it appears to be on purpose, right? I think you're naive if you think otherwise. Just nothing shocks or surprises me. That's pretty much how I'll put it. And they're all psychopaths, which, we can make a little comparison here because Uncle Charlie is definitely a psychopath. Says, yeah, I'm definitely seeing some similarities.
They got them crazy eyes.
I mean, Tank is a fan of AOC, so.
I'm not a fan. I just said I would smash.
The crazy eyes are part of it.
I'm just not picky.
Your standards are not quite there. Tank,
I don't like. I don't have. I'm too old to be picky.
You've been too old to be picky since when?
Yeah, I'd probably smash Manson. Fuck it.
We got David Hogg on there too, and I promise you, I got a David Hogg meme coming up.
Yeah, I'm not fucking him.
Speaking of psychopaths, we have Bill Gates. Third shot may be needed to combat the COOF variant. Why would a third shot be? Can someone logic me through this or science me through it or something? Like,
well, that shot only lasts a year anyway, so you got to get 2 per year.
It's got to keep.
So my DNA is only, or my RNA. I'm sorry, not my DNA. My RNA is only altered for a year.
Yep. You only get the spikes for a year.
So,
or you could just get the COOF and then you have the actual antibodies because the mRNA doesn't give you any antibodies; it just prevents you from the spikes.
Right.
Which is what I did.
Same with the going on with the psychopath here. It says, I drank water made from human feces. Here's an update on the machine that produced that water.
What the fuck? Bro, he's drinking shit water.
That was 2015, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure Bill Gates is used to having a lot of shit in his mouth anyways.
Hey!
From poop water to poop perfume, I'm amazed by the innovations that are underway in the field of sanitation. That was 2016. And here,
he's obsessed with poop.
Out, but it says, and then one day I'll block their precious sun. Then we'll see who's not invited to the pool party.
Definitely wasn't him.
He's talking about blocking out the sun to combat global warming. Have you heard this? There are numerous people that have talked about this, about blackening the sky. These people are, if they don't have a screw loose, they think you're really stupid and fall for anything. That's all I know.
They've got a few screws loose. The whole thing is just falling apart as they're walking.
Right. Well, and as these things come out, we also have then, of course, as you guys know, the New York Times saying, don't go down the rabbit hole. Critical thinking, as we were taught to do it, isn't helping the fight against misinformation. I think you got that backwards, buddy. I think you have that exactly opposite of what misinformation and critical thinking is about. That dynamic there, pretty sure you don't have it quite right. But in the same world exists this. Barack Obama and Bruce Springsteen podcast Renegades coming to Spotify.
Oh, God.
Oh, God.
Who would listen to that garbage?
We all know Barack Obama was the biggest renegade ever. Oh, Barry.
Totally. And so was Bruce Springsteen. Yeah.
Renegades born in the USA. Well, that's fake news because Obama wasn't born in the USA.
Right?
Anyways, it says we'll spend eight episodes, 2 of which were released Monday on Spotify.
Oh my god! What
I
the
have no
fuck?
idea where Obama was born at, but his birth certificate ordeal was an ordeal and ridiculous, and makes one very suspect.
Mhm.
A little sus. That's all I'm saying.
Super sus.
Yep. Fact checkers didn't exist until the truth started getting out.
It's true.
Is that a billboard or is that just something somebody made?
I have no idea, man. I don't make the memes. I just mine them.
He just finds them and talks about them.
I
We just go to
I
Don the Plebs Discord and steal all their memes.
He doesn't have any memes on his Discord, but I did get a few from his server. But most of the ones I saw on his server here, though, recently, that now that I'm able to get in, was stuff I already got elsewhere. And the stuff that I would take otherwise that used to be on the Discord, too spicy.
There's no way there's no sugar in this. I don't believe it.
Told you, man. Those things are made from sugar.
It's all aspartame.
All right, so man, we need to man up. That's what we need to do. No parent wishes for a weak son. No woman wishes for a weak man. No child wishes for a weak dad. Live up to your duty and get stronger. And
Correct.
so,
Where can I
with
get? Where
that-
can I get some of those boxing pans?
Right?
This thing's
Oh, dude, I can
dope.
hook you up. I can hook you up. Those are them things back in the day. We get you. We shave your mustache down to the like to here too, and
I'll
you'll be
never
good to
shave
go.
my mustache. Never.
So this is for Tank, because if you're going to be a good man, as Thomas Sowell says here, don't be fooled by big old socialist biddies. They're meant to hypnotize, then enslave your ass.
That's probably true.
Yeah. Don't be hypnotized, Tank. Be a better man. Got to be better than that. Don't fall for this nonsense either. These women out here claiming all this stuff. Numbers that do not defy a woman's worth. The number on the scale. The number of sexual partners. The number of likes she receives. And the number of children she has. They happen to be black, apparently.
Right? Why is
Wait.
the mother white and the baby's like super black?
Wait a minute. Who made this meme? I sent some fuckery about.
You sense some feminism there, buddy.
I definitely smell the feminism reeking out
I
that
warn the
meat.
young men out there, I'm trying to warn them. Also, stay away from all women that do this. What's the problem? Oh my God, I can't even today. Have you tried posting worst day ever and then replying to every comment? I don't want to talk about it. Stay away from these hoes. Now, I will say this. If you are a player and you know how to interact with the girl that does this, you'll be all right. I will also say she will be hell to your life. So, with that said, gentlemen, do this. New study confirms meat is necessary during pregnancy.
Well, no shit.
Well, the WHO seems to have said otherwise. So YouTube, don't yeet us for me going against the WHO here. They had a little board with like 6 people on it, and 4 of them were vegans, and they were like, "Yeah, oh, it's perfectly fine for pregnant nursing mothers to be vegans." No, it's
Well,
not. It's really
but
not.
who the? I couldn't imagine being pregnant and vegan at the same time.
Oh, right.
Well,
Like
you
that's.
know,
Uh-oh, that's my boy.
I'm about to say. I think your Uncle Ted would probably agree with you there. And he said if our society had no social problems at all, the leftists would have invented problems in order to provide themselves with an excuse for making a fuss.
I told you, bro. My man knows what's up.
He's quite a handsome looking guy too, for a guy that became crazy, started killing people, and lived off in the woods. And
Well, hopefully, when I become crazy and start killing people, you'll call me a handsome guy too.
yeah, I doubt it. Speaking of problems that were created, I'm a transsexual looking for a good man. Look within.
Look in the mirror. He found him right there.
More problems created. The amount of psychological damage being forced to look at your own face while conferencing on Zoom has done to trans women and this pandemic season cannot be overstated.
Oh, okay. Well,
What?
if you're getting psychological damage from looking at yourself, then that's your problem, buddy.
Yeah. Transgender woman in tears after bank account froze as she sounded like a man on the phone.
Well,
Well, you know,
Play stupid games, win stupid
that's
prizes.
when you have your mother call for you.
So this is yeah, right. It's like over a week or two old now, but hell, I had to fit it in there. It says boys love to be heterosexual until it's time for them to suck a girl's D. This is transphobic. How is this transphobic? This is literally calling out transphobic people, is it not? Girls with D's are girls. How would guys not be heterosexual when sucking a girl's D? Mind virus. Didn't you guys come to the new show
Super mind virus.
like 2 weeks
Wait,
ago?
what?
I think it was still in Florida when this came out. Calling all mediocre males.
Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
Oh my
Speaking of which, Mama, Papa, you sacrificed everything for me to have this opportunity. All those late nights, all those tears. I've trained my whole life for this moment, my debut. Watch out, world. Here comes Mongolia Turner. No woman's going to stand in my way. Oh, thanks, so girly. Not if Mrs. Obama has anything to say about it.
Damn. Shot down.
bruh.
Bro, I made this meme. No, the art is G Prime 85, but I made it into a Michelle Obama meme because, alas, I had no Michelle Obama training memes this week.
Mm.
Nothing will stop me. Nothing will stop me. All right, almost done. Jeremy's getting bored here. So, if half of all marriages end up in divorce, why would anyone get married? If half of all trans kill themselves, why would? PragerU.
Talk about that.
PragerU. Calling yourself a university does not make you a university. And they said, now do gender.
Ooh, snap. PragerU with the shade.
Speaking of which, next few memes have nothing to do with anything, but this is a PragerU meme. The left wants to take away Big Chuggus.
Nope.
How dare the left? That's all I have to say.
I refuse.
Big Chuggus is here to stay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, David Hogg's new progressive pillows.
What the shit?
They're not only bags of D's, but they're stuffed with D's, from what I understand.
Hey, and at least there's diverse D's too, so you gotta give him credit for that.
Sadly, it's probably gonna be a big hit.
I just want to know where this photo came from because he's wearing a diaper and an elf hat or something. I'm not sure. Or it's long hair. Wherever they photoshopped his face onto. I mean, maybe it's not a diaper. That looks like clothes back here. I don't know. I couldn't tell the difference. That's all I know. It looks real to me. So here we have people who know what the fox says. People who can out Pizza the Hut. People who know how to Mojang got the panda death sound. Tank who knows what to do with a drunken sailor. And me who knows who let the dogs out. That's all I'm saying. One step ahead of you, buddy, every time. Pedophilia is sexuality. Changed my mind.
Oh my god. Woo!
And then you got where's Watto? Nice.
Can't find him. That's where he's at. So the perfect lip balm for liberals. Don't use Gorilla Glue on your hair, folks. But I don't like using the word liberal generally, but leftists.
Yeah. Cross that liberal and put in leftists.
Also, Trojan Fusion. Made for Gorilla Glue.
Oh no, you don't want that. Men, don't
Maybe
get
you'll keep
that
it in the
brand.
pants then, huh? Keep it in the pants.
Yeah.
Forever be bonded. All right, that's all I got, guys. Go ahead and play that Memecast news sounder video thingamabob. Look at that. 40 minutes of memes, and there are people watching the show now. It only took 40 minutes of memes.
Y'all missed all the memes, you guys. What is up with that?
What's the deal with that? Sorry, I'm just a little distracted here. That's the problem with running your own business is you have to take texts and calls sometimes when you don't really want to. So don't mind me.
It's
I'm still
okay.
here.
You do your thing. We'll take Delaney all by herself.
Ooh.
She can start the show.
Hey, guys, I do want to take a minute to remind everyone to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Smash the like button.
Yes.
Hit
Yes,
that
smash
subscribe
it.
bell.
Do all that good stuff. I don't care about that subscribe bell. I don't do that myself, so I wouldn't tell you to. Jeremy's links and Delaney's, but Jeremy's the brains. Delaney's just here to be charming.
He's
Hey.
the real person in this operation. I'm
Yes.
just here to look nice and sound good. So
Me too.
Tank,
Well-
you're here to like show off your cool mustache and like throw up some sounders every once in a while.
Yeah, I do have a job, I guess.
He gets everything operational for me because I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And now I'm like, I'm stuck with him. I should have just learned how to do it myself.
Yeah, you should have. But you didn't.
Now we're all here. So
And I'm
We are
drinking
all
seltzer
here.
waters. I don't know how I feel about this, to be honest with you.
So I did have a few things that I did want to talk to you guys about. One of them was a few weeks back. Delaney, you happened to side with me on this issue, but you were bringing up, I think it was 2 weeks ago. You're not this past Tuesday, yesterday, but last Tuesday. You were talking about the corporate world and how that they will follow the almighty dollar. And I don't believe that that's true. I believe that's true to some extent, but I believe that they don't care and they're going woke as a means to dictate how the world is going, because they sort of either do really believe in this climate change thing and this world catastrophe, or, which I think is more likely, they just want power and control and they're using it as an excuse.
mhm.
So between them, the heads of state, and the NGOs, the big NGOs like the UN or the World Economic Forum, which is just a front for the UN, basically.
Mhm.
Those folks out there talking about this new great reset and all this, they're working with these corporations. And so it's about directing minds and directing people and the social engineering. And so they're not worried about a few million lost here and there, because in the end they went out because they'll be the
Yeah.
only corporations left.
Yep.
And so I kind of made this little point in your chat, which wasn't that big, but Delaney seemed to be arguing sort of the same mind. And Jeremy, you seem to think that the almighty dollar will eventually win. So I kind of wanted to start there as maybe something to talk about. And Tank, if you have any thoughts, please chime in.
Well, I guess I'll just go ahead and give my opinion on this and let you guys have it out. There's a short term and a long term here, right? Ultimately, I believe in the long term that whatever constitutes as social capital will be more important than physical capital, if that makes sense. So instead, it's money matters. I'm not gonna say it doesn't,
Mhm.
but if a company, some multi-million-dollar company sees that there's a serious social change coming on the horizon, they're going to set themselves up to be the best that they can when that change comes.
Mhm.
And it may entail a loss of monetary value for the time being. You kind of saw this in like things like the Cultural Revolution and stuff, right? Where like a lot of people were not making money per se from a lot of the actions they were doing. They're persecuting different people, but they were kind of setting themselves up to get the nice corner office for when the new bureaucracy steps in. I don't know, that's just kind of where I come from, but I'm willing to entertain different ideas on that.
Yeah, I think so. This is kind of in the context of, keep in mind, we're talking about in the last like 3 weeks, we've seen Coca-Cola go crazy woke, Disney fired Gina Carano, and I'm sure there's a couple other ones we can name. But basically, the point is, and my side of the argument is basically, I think the almighty dollar is superior because I think the argument that they're trying to corrupt people as the primary driver kind of implies that Disney and Coke were formed and they've just been kind of sitting and waiting in the shadows for the perfect moment to start springing the idea of communism on the people. I don't think that's very likely. I think what they're doing is they're taking advantage of the cultural trends, which right now just happen to be, the NFL was another good example that I wanted to bring up. So Disney, NFL, Coca-Cola, NBA, they've all taken this turn. And, I just think that it's more of a function of profitability and following trends rather than, because if you look in the past, you can see other trends that they followed, like cancer bracelets and stuff. Remember, they had the football guys used to put like ribbons on their coats and their helmets and shit.
Yeah. They still wear pink through the month of October to support breast cancer.
Stuff like that. I mean, they do trendy stuff like that. But right now, there's a pervasive cultural trend of social justice. And I think they're just trying to capitalize on that. Some of them are going to learn that it's not very profitable, though. But I tend to, and I think that maybe just be the objective side in me, the objective observer. But it would take a lot more for me to go and make the leap that they're actually trying to promote communism and destroy the West and not just make a dollar.
Well, that's not really my point. Maybe it came off that way. I don't think that they are trying to promote communism. I think that they are promoting the idea of one world government, not understanding it will be a communistic type regime. I also think that they may have started off thinking of profit and having a good product. And we know that Coke spends more money than like any other company on advertisement and marketing. They always have. So why would they do that when they have a number one product? Well, to be number one, of course, to stay number one. But when you start basically getting rid of all the mom and pop stores, you start closing down everything, you basically conglomerate all of the power into a very small few's hands, right? Why would you go along?
The globalism thing is definitely a good argument because I'll go there. I can get there pretty easily because they're selling to global
look, man, the other thing is the American market is crap. We're about to crash. We're about to hit a huge financial crash, huge inflation. America's about to go south really hard. And the real market right now that anyone and everyone cares about is China. And I'm going to start on All Minus One, my other channel. If anyone doesn't know that I have another channel, my channel, I do my own All Minus One. I guess Friday I'll be releasing a video that I'm going to do for the next week or so about the Chinese 100-year plans, the Chinese century, which is what it's been called, or the 21st century, that is. Before that, the 20th century was the American century, and the 19th century was the British century. So that seems to be where things are going. I will look at both sides of the topic as I try to do. When I look at stuff like this, there are a few naysayers with that. But look, we can't deny it. They are an economic force. They have the largest banking systems. They have
a lot of natural resources too.
Yeah, they have the resources. They've been buying up properties and banks all over the world. They have a lot of control and influence. And now the NGOs, the world NGOs, are basically backing them and taking marching orders from them. And we're starting to see marketing of American nations. And I'm not saying that hasn't been this way for a while, but we're really hardcore seeing marketing of not American nations, sorry, American companies for the Chinese audience. So much so that Disney Plus is going to be doing Star Wars for China and China alone and not even market it here. They were saying, at least. Yeah.
China's a special case. I mean, they got so many regulations and so many cultural differences, right? As we were recently informed by Biden that they're very culturally different than we are. So they need to have everything customized to fit them. I think they had to customize some movie posters and stuff to remove certain actors just to show them.
For the Star Wars: The Force Awakens, they cut the main character Finn out
the black guy, the
one black guy in the whole movie. They cut him out of the Chinese advertisement, and in the American advertisement, there he is.
So there's a bit of a cultural argument you can make there, but when you're operating on a global marketplace, you're just not really a one size fit all product, but you still want to advertise to the entire planet. So I think we're seeing a little bit of that right now, where maybe the content isn't specifically tailored for America. but we're getting the downfall of seeing that non-tailored content. It's a little out of touch, in my opinion. So
I personally just think that these companies have gotten so big and so powerful, and they're seeing this trend of social justice and wokeness that they just want to capitalize on it. So of course the woke dollar is just as good as the regular dollar. So of course they're gonna
right.
Of course they're gonna like change all their stuff.
A lot of it is organic. Someone here in the chat, our Coralie, who actually I was talking to a little bit earlier today, was saying that they're all for communism when they're on top. I don't know about communism outright, but protectionism for sure, which is part of the whole. I mean, if you're talking about a protectionist system, communism's the one because everything's a monopoly. So, yes. I mean, communism is the system of economic protection as far as against competition. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what we're seeing more. So we could say the almighty dollar, but how many competitors are there against the NFL? How many people on top of that are going to go, hey, I'm going to quit watching the NFL? I know they're down in ratings and they're losing some people, but most folks are not that principled, man. It's give me my cakes and give me my circus. Yeah. And I'm just being real. I'm not trying to be a pessimist. I'm just being a realist. So I don't know. Tell me your thoughts.
I just know plenty of people that even though there's all this stupid wokeness seeped into the NFL, they still watch it because they love football. They hate all of the woke advertisements and all of the, end racism on the back of the helmets. They hate all of it, but they still watch it because they love football. And I think that mindset is going to continue to, flourish in the NFL and big companies like that. Because like you said, there's no competition for the NFL. Is there any other competition? Maybe like the Canadian Football League?
Well, they're competing with every other TV program. That's what they're competing with. They're competing with other sports. Yeah, so
they're competing with basketball.
It's not
baseball.
A direct competition, but there is competition.
They don't play at the same time of the year. They have seasons for a reason. That's all protectionism in a way. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are other organic reasons why that is, but they did have the XFL some years ago. It would not kick off. There wasn't enough money in it. And again, it's about cable providers and all kinds of systems that have been set up over the years that we've looked at that have been basically monopolized. For instance, the county I was born in, a county over in Maryland, there is one cable provider, and that's it, unless you're going to get satellite. Mm. And the bottom line is that area is locked down by that cable provider, and there's no competition. They charge whatever they want. They'll have whatever speeds they're going to have on the internet. They're going to do whatever it is. And so that's just the cable provider. Then we start getting up to the network level and whatever else. We're seeing this now, basically the bottlenecks, the gatekeepers with social media, right? And we're not even seeing it now. We've been seeing it for, 6 years or more now. But it's going to get worse with all that. I kind of think my larger point is that, well, there's still going to be the apolitical folks that are just consumers, the sheeple, the debt slaves. They're just going to keep consuming. They're just going to keep coming in what's being put, allowing to have what's coming in that's being put in their face, coming into their home. They're not going to break off. Yes, some people will wake up. A lot more people are waking up. Mm-hmm. But I think that these really big corporations, I don't think that they care. I know Gillette sort of changed its tune after its woke commercial, but they did a number 2 with the tranny, and then they went back to being, Manny again, I guess. So,
well, here's the question: do you really want to save all those people anyway? The ones who are plugged in? Do you want to put the effort and the time and energy? Do you think it's worth it to put the energy to try and save those people and try to convince them that, dude, you should be watching the NFL? It's too woke. Like, it's kind of in a way, it's modern selection. These people who are stuck consuming Twitter and NFL and all this other bullshit, they're stuck for a reason, okay? And it's not because they just haven't been told the right points in a discussion. They're retarded, okay? They're lower IQ, they're unintelligent, they're not plugged in, they don't live intentionally, which is what I like to use the phrase living intentionally, where you actually question everything you do. Mm-hmm. Why is it a good thing that I'm consuming CNN? Is it a good thing that I'm on Twitter all day? Why do I watch this? Why do I do this? They don't ever question anything they do. They just exist like a vegetable. They receive stimulus from the sun, they get the water, and then they grow. That's all they know how to do. They don't make choices. They don't think for themselves. In my opinion, I say fuck them. I don't want to have that. I don't want to waste time and energy to have those people on my team anyway. And it's just really a modern form of selection. It pulls and weeds out those low performers, the low IQ people. And I don't think there's much of a risk in allowing those people to get brainwashed by that ideology, because the intelligence capacity is so low that they don't pose much of a threat, in my opinion, as a collective. When you say, look at a cultural political sphere and say, oh yeah, no, all these NFL watching retards, they love Black Lives Matter now. So what's going to happen? They're going to vote for Biden or something like that. What's the worst that's going to happen as a result of all these idiots who are just debt slaves? What is the debt slave army going to rise up and do? You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be that big of a threat versus the people who are plugged in, the guys, the high performers, the Elon Musks, the people who are moving, the people who are doing, advancing, adapting, building. Those are the people that I'm more interested in.
Yeah. Well, I don't disagree with you, Jeremy. That's kind of a separate point, though, because basically we were talking about motivations. And I think that the almighty dollar is a motivation for these companies. Don't get me wrong. I think the trend, I think you're right on that too. The trend is a motivation for these companies, but a lot of it is protectionism, and a lot of it is the new markets, the global markets opening up. And I think we can be honest with ourselves and just say, well, yeah, there is the almighty dollar, but they don't really care about what Americans think so much anymore.
Yeah, they don't.
I think that's more closer to where I'm hitting at. And that those who would be nationalistic, those who would have pride and patriotism in their country, right? They don't care about those folks anymore, regardless of what country you're in, for the most part. There are some countries that are still very patriotic, nationalistic, like Brazil, for instance. But it's about this larger narrative of the global community. And so, one last thing I'll say real quick. I'll let you talk here. So I will have Kit Cope on here in a few weeks, who is a 4-time world Muay Thai champion. Met Kit a few weeks ago. Very chill dude. Didn't know who he was when I started talking to him. And he kind of made the point, because I was saying how it was going to be this, because it's not even necessarily going to be communistic. It's going to be more fascistic. We're kind of parsing words here. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be leftist, very authoritarian, controlled economy, centralized, period. Less choice. But Kit was saying it was all corporatism. And I think he's got a good point there. So I'm looking forward to this conversation with him in a few weeks. He's a smart guy, very driven guy. In order to be a Muay Thai champ, you have to be a very driven guy, like trains UFC fighters professionally today, as well as does like private security stuff. So in any case,
no joke.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, Kit's, but it's very chill, very cool guy. In any case, yeah, it seems very corporately driven, very much we're going to be in control of things, because sort of like what you were saying, you folks out there, you're too dumb to control your lives. Therefore, we have to do it for you.
We have experts that know how to control your life and do what's best for you.
Well, you're seeing that narrative just coming right out in the open nowadays, where they say, don't critical think, don't research science for yourself. We talked about it on our stream last week. I mean, it's getting blatant, but I think there's to go back to what you said, Bill, it's kind of for me now, I understand where you're coming from, and I agree with that point in general, but I think it's kind of a chicken and the egg situation here now. So Coca-Cola and all these companies used to advertise on a kind of nationalistic, patriotic basis, right? That's how they sold their products, is because people were into the nationalism, the patriotism. But is what we're seeing right now, again, I have to go back to the almighty dollar argument. Is Coca-Cola adapting to a market that has become less patriotic, or are they the ones pushing the less patriotic? Are they feeding into a system that already exists of less patriotism and more globalism, or are they the ones perpetrating it? That would be the distinction that I would make. I
don't think they're the ones perpetrating it. I think that they're just catering to the market that is like speaking to them.
That would kind of be what I would tend to think. The overall, the people and the general trend of the public in America is that we're not patriotic anymore. We're not nationalistic anymore. Coke's picking up on that. So instead of you doing advertisement with a patriotic, nationalistic tinge to it, which was what they used to do, every company used to do, really. Now they're going for more of the globalist perspective, the globalist take on it.
Them woke bucks are just as good.
Right. So, and then in that sense, I don't think, again, I'm not saying Coca-Cola is not evil or anything like that, or Disney's not evil, but they're just adapting, they're responding to the market. That's how I would place it.
Honestly, though, I yes and no, in that, look, culture one thing that people don't tend to understand about art that drives me nuts is that people think that like art and culture are something that are something that influence the society, and it's actually the opposite way. It's the society that comes up, and then art and culture looks at the society and reflects upon it. So when people are like, well, violence in media makes people violent, it's like, no. You have violent media because of the society that you're in. That's how that works. And look, I'm not very artistic anymore as far as endeavors go, but I grew up in art. I grew up as an artist. I grew up around other artists. And I can tell you that's exactly what artists are doing. They're always trying to look at what society is and say, this is what it looks like to me. This is how it is. This is how I'm going to portray this or something. There's something in their psyche that says, I need to create something that is a reflection of something. When I did a lot of art and I was younger and I had a lot of darkness inside me, my art was very dark, you know? So it's a reflection of the world at the time. And I think that in part what we're seeing as far as like Disney putting out what it puts out, it's not just a trend, but it's a reflection of the culture and the society actually leaning this way. I don't think it's the majority of society, but it is the part of society that has power and influence. It is the most elite. And the more elite the circles get, the often, not always, but often, the more they don't relate to the common man, and they believe in authoritarianism and control and all of those things.
And
so,
that right there, that's our midpoint. That's where our perspectives meet, because
right.
That's where both of our perspectives are true. You're right in that they're perpetuating these evil ideas. I'm right that they're responding to the market, but it just so happens that the market they're responding to, the loudest voices, not the majority, but the loudest ones, the ones who control social media, the ones who do the doxing campaigns, the ones who do the boycotting campaigns,
The ones who do the canceling.
that's who they're responding to. They're not responding to the majority of Americans who likely still are patriotic, likely are still nationalistic.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's right.
Tank, you got anything, man?
So I'm going to harp on a point that I harp on a lot.
Harp.
There's a segment of I guess people in our sphere that kind of have this attitude that, you know, you hear like the West is the best, and we're such a prosperous nation because we're however you want to put the Protestant work ethic, whatever. I think that Western American society, however you're gonna call that, has a serious rot, and I think that serious rot manifests in consumerism, and I think that's one of our biggest issues. That it's kind of an issue that we have to deal with, but it's also a blind spot. So, a lot of the reasons why these guys, Coca-Cola, NFL, whatever, get away with this shit is because we are such a consumer society. I was talking to a coworker earlier today, and she's telling me about how she has some friends that they wake up every morning. Now I kind of live in a rural area, so this is going to make more sense. But they wake up every morning and drive 30 to 40 more or less minutes out of their way every morning so that they can get Starbucks. Now, I have an unnatural hate for Starbucks that I'll put on the side for now. But what about Starbucks would drive you to exhibit this kind of behavior? Like, why is driving 30 minutes more important than spending time with your family? What is it about this particular? I mean, you can go get coffee anywhere. There's something about this brand or branding and consumerism in general that is, I think, is a huge detriment to us. And I think it's something that we tend to ignore because we do have this cultural push to be like, well, I've worked hard, I deserve things, I should be able to splurge and do this sort of thing. But I really think that's an issue that we have to deal with. So, and I've seen it in Southern identity, in Southern societies in the South. I've seen a lot of guys that, were more focused on historically family and land and community. And now they're more focused on what they can spend money on. It's it's these brands, and I have a $300 cooler too. So these guys with Yetis, I'm not saying I'm better than them, but you see this thing constantly pop up, or I see this thing constantly pop up, and I think that that's probably something we're going to have to come to grips with before we can really move on to the stuff that these corporations are selling us, I guess is what I'm saying.
Well, that goes directly in line with we talked about a couple streams ago. There was a school exercise where they did a poster of American culture. So the teacher wrote up what is American culture in the middle of the poster, and then the kids drew pictures of what they perceived to be American culture, and all they drew was a bunch of corporate logos.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So this corporatism, this consumerism has replaced American culture. That has taken the place. So when you would normally go to like the park to play with your kids or something like that, play baseball, now you just go to Starbucks instead. I think that's a big part of what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you one thing about Starbucks. The reason why people drive 30 to 40 minutes out of their way is because they slip a little crack in their coffee beans. They come back every time.
Don't get me started, guys. I used to work for these fuckers.
Keeps coming back.
Oh my god. Oh, okay. So if you break it, so I used to work at Starbucks when I was in college, and I had this lady that came in every single day religiously. She was like a waitress or something. She'd come in every single day. She'd get like some ridiculous, one of these complicated things that has like 4 shots or whatever. Anyway, by the time she was done, her drink was like $12. She'd spend $12 a day on Starbucks.
Jeez.
And forever, I would just be like, bitch, what are you doing? Like, what is this? Like, go get a Red Bull. It's not that, it's not that complicated. But it was something about Starbucks, and I found out what it is. Their coffee is uniquely bad. I'm kind of a coffee snob.
It's bad. It is very bitter. Yeah.
Their business model is not to sell you coffee. Their business model is to sell you syrup. So they sell you really shitty coffee, and you cover up the taste with their shitty syrup. So that's what makes their drinks $11.
And their shitty, like pink, ugly tumblers too. That that you have to stand by when you're waiting for your shitty coffee.
Yeah, it's that brand. Like there's something about, especially girls in the South, it's really bad. But they just want to have this brand. Oh my god, I love Starbucks, and I have to have this cup with this logo.
She had like 40 freaking Starbucks tumblers, and I told her, like, why do you need so many? Why not just one, maybe 2 as a backup?
I can tell you, in the late 90s, I was very aware of what Starbucks was, but there was none in my area. I was 17 at the time, and I went down to Georgetown, and every block or 2, literally, at the time, there was a Starbucks.
Jesus.
And so you could go in, I'm talking about Georgetown, Washington, if there's any other Georgetowns out there, in Washington, D.C., that is. So like every block you could go, and there might be a Starbucks on this corner, and over like on the adjacent corner on the other side of the street was another Starbucks. And it was ridiculous. And I was like,
that's how it is in San Francisco.
Yeah. How in the world? Now, I don't think it's like that anymore. The last time I drove through Georgetown, which I don't do frequently because it's not really an area to drive through, but in any case, Starbucks was like that. It was like McDonald's opening, and you would have a McDonald's outside a mall, and then you have the McDonald's inside the mall, and then some store, like a gas station down the street, has a McDonald's in it as well. That kind of thing. But it was for coffee that wasn't good. I used to go to Seattle's Best all the time, and they done closed everything up. But
yeah.
Well, now all you need is one Starbucks per state because everything's going to be remotely delivered anyway. You can't even go to the store anymore.
Right. I go to Dunkin' or make it myself. So, but I'm a man. I drink Americanos and my regular coffee black. So screw that.
I mean,
frou stuff.
All coffee tastes the same to me.
I just know Starbucks. I don't even drink coffee personally. I just know Starbucks coffee is shitty because you walk in and it smells like just nasty burnt coffee beans instead of nice aromatic. Because I love the smell of coffee, and I know what good coffee smells like. When you walk into Starbucks, it's just like, ugh, God.
Stale. Yeah, it's really like, and I don't. They're geniuses, I guess, with how they were able to brand themselves as being this like coffee expert kind of company. But like any coffee shop, you go to your most podunk coffee shop in buttfuck Alabama, and it's still going to be better than Starbucks. if anyone's paying any attention to like the product they're bringing in and how they're roasting their beans, yada yada yada, super good shit, or at least good enough. Starbucks gets away with being like the premier brand in coffee, so much so that people go buy Starbucks coffee off the shelf at a grocery store.
Oh,
They
I
don't know
know.
what good coffee is. Though.
Yeah.
That's why they do that.
But that's the thing is, it's like there's just a certain segment of society, and it's a lot of people in the South. I hate to say, that are just really susceptible to branding.
Yeah. Well, Commander Osis is saying in the chat, he was talking about, if you want to make money, sell to women. And that's absolutely true. Women are the consumers of the world. They consume 70% of all products, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Men are generally much more frugal. And hey, there are stereotypical jokes about men and women going all the way back to the 50s or 60s about this, probably even further. It's just the reality, guys. I'm constantly telling my wife, I'm like, how much money did you spend? Why'd you buy that? What do we need this?
That's true, but I've also met men that are, especially men in their, I guess now 50s or so, your boomer types that will not drink anything but Bud Light. Not won't touch it. Get that shit on my face. I'm a Bud Light man. I've heard people tell me that. I'm like, bro, like, I mean,
I'm a Bud Light lady.
Guys like to talk shit about the marketing argument, and then you mention Ford is better than Chevy to them, and then all of a sudden you'll understand that they are just as entrenched in that argument as the women.
Blasphemy, Jeremy.
Okay, but that's I don't see that as even a marketing thing. That's just like my daddy had one, therefore I did. I'm a good old boy because I could give a crap less. For me, it's all about what works.
You're like, which one's cheaper?
Well, no. So if you remember,
brand
very much on that boat.
So maybe it's not marketing, but it's the brand loyalty.
Well, it's the same thing. If you look back and well, I guess it's probably 10 or 12 years ago at this point for NASCAR, when they first introduced Toyota as a stock car, people were losing their fucking nuts.
Oh yeah,
we can't have Toyota in the NASCAR. NASCAR's about American cars. Everyone was driving Corollas to the Speedway anyway. And then all of a sudden, we can have Toyotas in NASCAR. That's blah 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 blah. And of course, it doesn't fucking matter because none of them are stock cars anyway.
Yeah, well, one thing I do know with marketing as well is that the laundry detergent companies spend a lot of money on marketing because most people just use whatever their mom used. And so to get people to switch over cost a lot of money. But look, man, I buy things because I research them generally. And in fact, that's the biggest argument I have with my wife. She'll get something, especially if it doesn't quite work out. And I'm like, well, did you research it? Did you look into it? Did you read any reviews? No. I'm like, okay, well,
try it.
Like for about a month before I generally buy most anything, unless it's some cheap whatever that I can cheaply replace. Generally speaking, I'm doing a lot of reading about it for a while, but
you're a case strategist.
I'm not wired right, man. I'm like,
good thing.
No, you're wired.
I know what I'm saying. I know I'm not. Like, I watch the news all the time. I'm constantly informed about stuff. I read. I'm like, I tell you the truth. I don't really lie. So I generally will say stuff I shouldn't say to people. So I guess on Friday when I have a little bit too much to drink, I definitely say stuff I shouldn't say publicly and then forget about it. So which is not available.
My brother has this weird knack where like any like a random mundane item that you use in your life, he can tell you the like gold standard brand for it. Like you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go get an axe. You're like, oh, get a Fisker axe and make the best axes. Like, bro, it's an axe. Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I'm not touching that. Off-brand axe.
And if you don't buy that one, then you're majorly fucking up, and then he's gonna dog you, right?
Well, he's not that bad about it. He could be. I mean, and the thing about it is he's usually right. It's like, yeah, that axe is better, but I'm not spending 4 times as much on it because it's an axe and I don't care. But
that's an interesting point because what we're seeing now is a shift in marketing where it's not really about the quality of the product anymore. And this is how we can sum up the Starbucks argument. It's not about the product quality where you used to actually compare the products and see which one lasted longer, what was more reliable, what performed better. But now it's about the signaling of the companies and the marketing that they do.
Yeah.
So Starbucks, for example, who gives, coffee's obviously shit, but people are still buying it en masse. Coca-Cola, who cares, whatever, people are buying it because they're signaling the woke stuff. NFL, you can make the argument that people are still going to watch it even because of the woke stuff. and the product quality is completely independent. It's almost as if that's no longer the primary driver in our psychological model. It's about which company is signaling the right things morally and ethically to me. Go green, save the whales, vegan, gluten-free, whatever it is, whatever it is that you're signaling, this is what they're doing, as opposed to selling you on the quality of the product.
It's true. It is true. I know people who will buy brands just because they know that brand supported Black Lives Matter, or they'll go to certain grocery stores or certain restaurants because they know that restaurant is
look at what Yelp is doing. They have and I'm sure other consumer rating products are doing this as well, where businesses can self-identify as Black owned. So when you're looking for a restaurant, you don't look at which has the best food. You click the filter for Black owned, and that's how you pick the food that you want. It's not about the product. It's about the quality and the marketing.
I only eat at Black owned Thai food restaurants.
Me and you both. Where are they? What are the restaurants?
There's just something about being Black owned that makes that pad Thai so much better.
Oh yeah.
Like getting a haircut at the Black Barber. I mean, that's usually where I go.
Bro, okay, look.
You want a good fade, you go to the Black Barber.
I have been to the Black Barber.
You go to an Asian lady, a Black Barber or an Asian lady.
Yeah.
I
will not go to a tailor who is a white person. They've got to at least be Eastern European. I prefer that. If they're like Albanian, that's my guy.
Yeah. Albanian, Slovenian, what are the Albanians?
They need a thick accent.
Yeah, you got to have an accent.
You can't understand them.
Yeah, you can barely understand them. You just hand them your stuff. You let them know what you want, and you just leave. No questions asked.
Yeah, you're like, hey, can you take this in at the waist? And they go, oh yeah, and then they walk away, and you can't tell if they spoke English or not. You're like, did he really understand what I wanted? But it's always good.
Understand me?
Hey, we got a good point in the chat here from Joshua Ham. He says, I don't know. It seems like product quality has been making a comeback again with artisan bread, craft brews, farm to table, etc. I would agree with that. That's not fully accessible to everybody, though. Mm-hmm. Also, once our money's hyperinflated and the middle class becomes the poverty class and the upper middle class is the lower middle class, that's going to change big time. So I'm just saying. I mean, that's a good point, Joshua. There has been a lot of that way.
He kind of makes my argument in his statement, because he says it's artisan bread, it's craft brew. Like that's kind of the thing where you're like, that's the morality of it, where you're not, I don't want to support the big corporations, I want to support the little guys. So it's not morality in the same exact respect, but it's still, you're buying or you're focusing on that product because of the fact that it's made by a small person, a small brewery, it's artisan, whatever it is. But it also does have great quality. It just so happens that the reason you're probably seeking those products out is because you don't want to buy the corporate stuff.
Yeah. Well, fans too. Buy your friends' OnlyFans pages.
No, I'm not buying my mom's OnlyFans.
Yeah, you got to support. We got to support your OnlyFans, Tank. Remember?
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
Friends support friends.
we had a drunk stream Friday that we had to take down for obvious reasons, and
really, I was doxing him full. I did not give out his direct address.
But I mentioned
where he lives, though.
Started always fans
of the internet.
People were in the chat talking about trying to get pictures of my braided butthole hair and all kinds of shit. It was really weird. It was a weird time.
Showing your butthole the last time we did the stream, Tank, too. So
hey, I'll go where the money is. I will sell out to the almighty dollar.
Just don't give it out for free. That's all.
Yeah, just don't give it out for free.
That's what my mom told me. If you're good at it, don't
ever give it out for free. Mother's a smart woman.
No, but to make Joshua Ham's point, there is I'm not saying that there is no such thing as buying for quality. Obviously, there is. And to me, like a lot of like the craft beers or whatever, I do like better. I definitely like better than this shit. This is awful.
You don't want to drink, girl, drink, man. What'd you expect?
I mean, I like a
look, dude, Blue Ribbon for like 100 years now. Come on, you can't.
Did your wife buy that, or did you buy that, Tank? That does not.
My wife bought this. Yeah,
that
definitely on sale. I can't. But here's the thing: like my wife is a booze hound. Like she drinks harder than I do, and she likes good stuff. I don't know why she got this. Maybe she's mad at me. But
maybe she likes it and you just don't.
No, she doesn't like shit like this. She
doesn't?
would not. No, God, no. My wife, if you put something like a strawberry daiquiri in front of her, she'd probably pee on it. She is like a. I don't even like bourbon myself, and she loves bourbon and rye and martinis and like that's the kind of shit she likes.
Damn, classy lady.
Yeah, I mean, she's hardcore, and so I don't know what this is about.
Osa says, now we know how Tank got married.
Yeah, I was kind of forced into it.
Are any women not alcoholics these days? That's my question. I haven't met one yet.
If you had to be a woman, wouldn't you be alcoholic?
Oh, absolutely. If I
Yeah.
had full feminism and the big lie about being a consumer instead of a housewife, I would definitely become an alcoholic and have like 18 cats.
Yeah, but
My
yeah,
wife
no,
is not.
That's
But my wife is also pregnant, so that might have something to do with it. I don't know.
but quality is a thing, like artisanal bread, artisanal beer, and stuff. But some people don't care about that too. Like, my mom's going to eat bunny bread her entire life. She doesn't give a shit. And I've got people in my life that will just drink Keystone and be absolutely happy with it, and that is what it is. So not everything's a brand. Okay, go ahead.
Sacramento they call it the farm to fork capital of the world because if you go about 5 minutes that way, it's just rice paddies and farmland and stuff like that. So and we hear a lot of this shit around here. So maybe I'm a little bit more in tune than the average big city person. But what you see is the narrative of support local, right? Because it's not our product is better, it's support local. And that's where you get the breweries and the artisanal stuff. It's because of the morality of it, not the product quality. So I'm seeing it on a daily basis here in the farm to fork capital of the world.
We used to be called the city of trees, but
that's boring.
They took that down because
there's like 18 other city of trees. So who cares?
They took it down because they associated it with weed too much. So
we have a farmer's market kind of around the corner, literally like 2 miles from my house. Well, it might be 3 miles, not very far, just a few minutes. But it's a matter of finances too for a lot of folks. Like for me, I might get a few things there, vegetables. Probably not going to buy meat there because I can get semi-good quality meat elsewhere at a local grocer for maybe half the cost. And that's the thing, because we have industrialized and subsidized our farming system, so the artisans can't compete. And again, it goes back to that whole protectionism thing and the competition. And it's a lot harder for these small businesses. And we have literally seen arbitrary lockdown restrictions that are being blamed on a virus that has a high survival rate. I mean, I've been reading Klaus Schwab's Great Reset. I've been reading it, live on All Minus One. It's a segment I've been doing. It's a little bit of mine, story time. And so I've been doing that, and I'm reading this guy and what he says, and I'm like, dude, how much gaslighting? He's like, due to the pandemic, everything had to shut down. I'm like, no, due to governments, everything shut down because the government made dumb decisions. And maybe I'm not, look, guys, maybe there needed to be a shutdown in some areas for a period of time. I don't think it needed to be a global solution, though, and neither does the WHO or the CDC, from what I understand. So I don't know why we're just shutting everything down unless it's about protectionism in the end.
Well, this is a good segue into the topic of science and how the left loves to talk about and how they're so pro science, but they've seen their hypothesis being disproven over and over and over again on such a large scale. Which the hypothesis is that locking down is good, but wearing masks is good. It will help the numbers. But then we see numbers from Florida after even 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, where they had celebrations outside where nobody was wearing masks, and the mayor of Tampa said, we're going to stick the police on the people who weren't wearing masks. And CNN and everyone else was saying that, the COVID is going to be the real winner, and Florida's going to kill us all. So
it seemed to be going fine.
Yeah, if you look at the graphs, obviously they're completely incorrect, but that's not how the scientific method works. Your hypothesis has been disproven at this point. We can all agree. It was been disproven a long time ago, the masks and the lockdowns.
Mhm.
So now it's time to revisit the hypothesis, come up with a new one that's more relevant based on the data that you've learned. And part of that is the small businesses. We have the data that shows that people were not, when they were doing contact tracing, they weren't getting cases from restaurants. And yet the restaurants are the ones who suffered the most. And now all these small mom and pop businesses, exactly like you said, are all gone, especially here in California, where indoor dining is still closed. I think it's the only state in the nation where indoor dining is still prohibited. I think I read a statistic, 50 to 70% of the restaurants around me, just in downtown area, will either be gone or significantly reduced in functionality after they reopen. So they were the biggest victims of this. While meanwhile, Amazon and Walmart and Costco, they were just open the whole time, having a great time. Hundreds of people inside, all just rubbing up on each other, breathing on each other and shit.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's not a function of reality. It's not a function of science. It's a function of government intervention.
Well, what we've replaced science with is follow the experts. We've been doing this game for a very long time, though, actually, and you could see this evident within the climate change sphere, and the 97% of all climate scientists believe, which one, that statistic is not correct. Two, the survey was not really specific, and three, look, science isn't democracy, guys. We don't get to democratically decide what is true or not. Truth is truth. The end. Everything else is false, and in between, we're trying to figure it out, and that's okay. It's okay to say I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out, right? And yeah, the idea that we are following any sort of science is absurd. But this is, again, kind of going back to what you were saying about the people who are too stupid. I think, though, one thing I will say about that is a lot of these people aren't stupid. They're actually very intelligent. They're just not using their brains. I know some of the dumbest people I know are some of the smartest people I've ever known. And they don't use their brain.
That's me, by the way. He's talking about me.
Yes. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
He might be talking about
they don't use their brains because they assume, well, I'm highly intelligent and this other highly intelligent person's highly intelligent, and therefore what they say must be right. Or
and that's exactly what I mean. I allow for that in my explanation because, there's stupid people, but there's also those who are not living intentionally. They're not observing and interacting with the world on an intentional basis. They're not asking, should I believe this headline that says 99% of scientists agree? Should I believe this headline about masks, even though they told me 14 days to slow the spread, but now it's been 345 days? They don't question that stuff. They may be intelligent, but they're not intentionally living. So they're never gonna plug into a degree that's going to actually be beneficial for them. They're just stuck. So
that's isn't that the real key, though, Jeremy? They're not intentionally living. They're not taking their life in their own hands. They're not directing themselves. They're allowing themselves to be enslaved and be directed. I mean, I've been talking about a lot of this on my own channel, man. I've been talking a lot about the mental enslavement, the spiritual enslavement.
Yep.
We are going along with the system, like not even questioning it, which is weird because I don't know, 30 years ago, not even that long ago, maybe even 20 years ago, this was like hippie talk. Oh man, you're just enslaved by the man. You got to free yourself, man.
Yeah.
And here we're all more conservative, libertarian, whatever, right-wing conspiracy theory type. Yeah, you guys are radically alt moderates, right?
Alt-centrists.
Okay.
Because you got to put an alt just to give it a little pizzazz.
Make it edgy.
Yeah. Make it super edgy.
Yeah. So I didn't mean to misclassify you. There.
It's okay.
But, as being an
alt-centrist,
one of the key tenets of being an alt-centrist is that we're not emotionally attached to any of our ideas, so we don't get offended as easily.
Well, I'm the woman. I'm pretty emotionally attached to my ideas.
She's still working on her alt-centrism. She's one of my first disciples into the cult of alt-centrism. I'm still working on her a little bit.
Well, as our friend, I've probably mentioned to you before, I certainly have in your chat, as our friend Don the Pleb, which a lot of our chat is from actually his channel, always says is if you're right of Mao, then you're right. And that's kind of where this is going, is that I don't think it's going to actually as far as Maoism, but it is going to this complete authoritarian control mindset. And a lot of people are willingly walking into it. And I honestly, I just don't get it. I find it shameful. It actually hurts my soul because I see family members or friends doing this. And I'm like, good Lord, what's wrong with you? Like, can we not have a reasonable debate? And they're like, well, this expert said this, and the CNNs and the MSNBCs or the NPRs or whatever, name off your, initials of organizations. And I'm thinking, dude, but what about your critical thinking, New York Times? What about that? And how
did everybody become a yes man?
Yeah. What happened to that?
Well, you know what? There's one variable that we're not taking into account here, and that to critical think takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of time. It takes practice. It's like a muscle. You can't just go into the gym and just bench 250 right off the bat. You have to start out with just a bar, work your way up.
Where I would start out.
And people don't know the brain burns. I think fact check me on this, but I'm pretty sure the brain burns more calories than any other organ in the body because just the neurons firing at a physiological level, it does most of the work. And to think critically, it does take a lot of work. People are just not willing to do the work. So not only do you have to have the intelligence and the capacity for critical thinking, but you also have to be intentionally living, and you have to be not lazy enough to actually put in the work to utilize those other aspects of your personality to reach a conclusion where you can be quote unquote red pilled. So there are a lot of conditions to be red pilled. It's not just being intelligent. It's not just living intently. You have to actually do the work. And it's again, I have to emphasize, it's a muscle. You have to work on a regular basis. And if you don't, then you just, you're watching the NFL. Next thing you know, you're cheering on the weekend as a halftime show, and you think you're having a great time.
But it's so much easier to be a slave. Come on.
It definitely is.
No, it really
Kanye
is.
was right when in that TMZ interview when he talked about people are still enslaved mentally, spiritually.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And they took that saying out of context and didn't give the whole thing. And now everybody thinks Kanye is a racist because he says that people are still enslaved. It's like, no, he's not. He didn't mean physically. I mean, yes, physically there are, but he means mentally.
There's nothing in the world that you can ever say that won't be criticized. So you might as well just be you and
Exactly.
say what you want to say and screw everybody else and get off my lawn. Because that's kind of the way I approach things. And maybe when I was younger, I was more into people pleasing. I would say I certainly would, because I kind of grew up in this Christian worldview where it was like I had to put myself last. And that just builds resentment. And I didn't understand until later on in life that, no, I need to actually put myself first, but I don't need to be, when I take actions, once I've taken care of myself, then I can start putting other people before me.
Enlightened self-interest.
Right. My basic needs have already been met. And there's a difference between being self-interested as far as taking care of your basic needs and being self-interested to the point where you're like, whatever you have, I'm going to have some of that. And whatever you have over there, I'm going to have some of that. And I'm going to keep taking it and never give back. It's really weird where I've looked at and talked to some lefties on lines and like forums, places like Reddit and stuff like that. And they are often talking about how they are big fans of centralized authority and they came this way and blah, 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 blah. And then they complain about healthcare systems and charity things with family members. And they're like, I'm really wealthy, or I'm rather wealthy. I make whatever 6 figures a year, $200,000, $300,000 a year. So yeah, you're not the most wealthy person ever, but you probably live beyond your means because you're making that kind of salary. And it's like, well, why can't you take care of those folks for yourself? Why can't you throw a little bit of extra money here and there? Like, you don't have to live like right at that level of money you're making. You can live pretty comfortably way below that level. And a lot of times their answer is, well, I need to store some stuff away for myself. So it's always self-interest, and it's never, well, how can I help somebody else out? Because your needs have already met at that point, right? And then it's, well, I need the government to do it. I need the government to tax me because I'm not going to do it. And to me, that's a complete obfuscation of your personal duty to be a good individual, to be charitable, to help folks out and to be, personally responsible for that. Like just doing something for your neighbor when they ask, something simple, is very important. And a lot of that's lost in our society, and it's all given over to the machine. And it's very scary to me, especially someone like, again, like the way I kind of grew up thinking I was very much enamored by the city. I'm a very different guy than I was 20 years ago. I'll put it that way. And so much of my life has changed. And I see these things, I see these pitfalls these folks fall into, and I just think, what are you thinking, man? Like, you want the government to do all these things for you when you're capable of doing it yourself, and then you're going to complain about, the government doing the stuff you don't like them doing when you just sit there and gave them the power to do it.
Right.
So, anyways.
Well, that's like that woman that wanted to buy ammo for that Phoenix ammunition guy, right? And he was like, I'm not selling you ammo because you voted for Biden. Like, well, I mean, what do you? And she's like, well, that doesn't have anything to do. Well, yeah, motherfucker, it does have something to do with it. It's real shit. Like you voted for this guy who is going to be one of the biggest thorns in my side. Speaking in terms of the guy who owns Phoenix ammunition. So yeah, I'm a little fucking pissed about it. Which is completely reasonable. But I mean, that's just how it is. Like a lot of people feel like they can have their cake and eat it too. They can have, unbridled consumerism and, close family ties or kinship. But these kind of things don't exist. And I think more people are starting to realize that we can't. So, from my perspective, we've lost something in our society. I don't know that I'm the smart enough guy to describe exactly what that is, but there's something that I think most people in this sphere would agree that is missing, that's gone away in the last 100 years or whatever. So it's something, it's something I think we need to consider. And the other issue is, like I said before, with a lot of these guys on the right that they like to talk shit about other countries. And I'm not saying other countries are perfect or anything, but I went to Nicaragua last March, almost a year ago, for my bachelor party. And, it's a third world country. It's a shithole country, in a lot of ways it is, but they're not on SSRIs. Mm-hmm. They're not cutting off their little boys' dicks.
Nope.
They're not giving people period. So yeah, whatever. Why are they not doing that and we are? And I think that's something we need to think about.
They're happy living in the jungle with a soccer ball in a hut.
Yeah, I've got a coffee farm and a can-do attitude.
Well, that's I'm actually developing a philosophy based on that entire premise. That question right there, Tank, is because why did we lose that? And I think what we need to realize is those people on the left, there's a good reason why they can't understand a meritocracy, achievement-based society where we all help each other out instead of the government helping each other out. Because those people, there's a spectrum of self-reliance and complete self-reliance over here, like Bill was mentioning, where you can sustain yourself and you're so productive that you can help other people effectively. But in order to do that, you have to be completely self-reliant and you have to be productive. And then all the way on the other end of the spectrum over here are the people who are so messed up, so unproductive and or lazy or dumb or low IQ, whatever it is, that they will never even reach a close proximity to being enlightenedly self-interested. Mm-hmm. So they can't fathom having a society where, okay, yes, so I make enough money where if Delaney gets sick, I'm willing to help out with her medical bills because I'm just so well off because I've worked on myself so much and I'm so productive that I can do that. I don't have to, she doesn't have to go rely on the government for that.
Oh, that's so nice, Jeremy.
So, but the reason why that the spectrum is so heavily weighted on the end of non-self-enlightened interest, whatever I said, is that that people have lost. There's no selection anymore, so there's no natural incentive for you to work hard to get to this point because There's the harshness of reality is gone. The harshness that still exists in those third world countries, like in Mexico or whatever it is, where Nicaragua, they're chopping each other's heads off. There's no police. There's no protection. It's not soft. It doesn't weaken you. You have to rely on yourself and your family to that enlightened self-interest, self-reliance still exists in a large factor there. So when society gets too soft, that spectrum, the distribution of people on that spectrum goes heavily in the way of the self-reliant, non-self-interested, and then you get people who can't fathom any other system but the government or some all-powerful figure giving them everything they need instead of helping each other out.
Well, someone said it earlier in the chat, which I make the point of all the time, and I'm not the only one, of course. Many people have said this. People who are considered intellectuals, very famous folks that are interviewed on news shows all the time. Like, we've replaced politics with religion, right? Nietzsche made this observation. It's not anything new. By the way, folks, I'm trying to sort of check with the chat and keep up, but I'm not the best with that kind of stuff. We're in the middle of having a conversation. But one thing is, Osis did mention we're talking about conservatism. People were talking. I was saying, well, he's like, what are we conserving? Well, for me, there's conserving tradition, our heritage. There's conserving our religion, our faith, and there's conserving freedom, because someone has to conserve the ideas of freedom. When I would talk about it would be classical liberalism. We can label it 1,000,001 things, but some Enlightenment ideas. I'm not saying that we can't move beyond those either, but just the general principles that were sort of crystallized at that period of what it means to be a free man. And then he made a comment that the GOP isn't doing that. Well, I don't espouse to be friends with the GOP. I've been an independent for 15 plus years. I think that the Republicans are better friends than the Democrats ever would be. And I think most people who are Republicans would be friends of ours. But the GOP, dude, I know, Osis, you wouldn't know all this because you haven't been watching it for a long time. I am way deeper inside than you think or believe that I am. My wife works in in a non-partisan nonprofit right now, but she has worked in partisan nonprofits in the past in the DC area. I know certain things that I'm privy to. I am nobody. I'm an outside observer, but yeah. I know.
You're a CIA.
Yes, I'm a Fed. I'm a total Fed. 100%.
Oh,
God. Nice.
No, I'm just saying, man, like I've told the story many a times of how I was at a Halloween party when right after my wife and I got married. Actually, it was back at her old place in Arlington. So we were literally like 10 minutes from downtown DC if there's no traffic. And there were a bunch of folks there, and one of the guys was a staffer for an Arizona congressman or senator. I can't even, it was a congressman or a senator. I think it was a congressman. Can't remember, don't recall, whatever, who cares? The guy told me he goes into work 2 or 3 days a week at best. He often doesn't show up and makes $70,000 a year to do nothing.
Wow.
He's 24 years old.
hell yeah.
That's Washington DC for you guys. So I get like the questions. I'm not like, that's not Osis, anyone else, like no disrespect. By the way, I will read chat often and not get your tone. Like it's text. So I will try and clarify or do whatever there, but sometimes I'll talk trash too. Cause I was in the military, guys. I worked in law enforcement for a long time. We all talk trash. I used to work in a hospital. There's trash talk around.
Oh yeah. I love it.
Yes, it's all in good
Feel the testosterone.
I got to shamelessly plug alt centrism here because one of our core tenets is disengaging from the traditional political spectrum of left versus right, conservatism and leftism. And there's a suggestion in chat from Josh who says that the solution that he thinks is to infect the GOP and try to repurpose it from the inside, which I would say is the exact wrong direction. You need to disengage as far as possible from the traditional political system. Mm-hmm. Create your own breakaway system, small scale, because the question for conservation really is, does conservation require you to do it on a scale, a countrywide scale? Do you have to dominate the entire political system in order to conserve conservative ideas?
No.
You don't really.
No.
All you could conserve it in a book that's locked away under a pyramid for 8,000 years. Somebody opens it up and they're like, hey, this is great ideas. Let's make a government. That's technically conservation. So the idea that you have to control and be a part of the paradigm in order to conserve something is I would say it's a very old order, old world style of thinking. And we're in a situation where we need to adapt and be creative with the ways that we execute our political ideas, and not brute force head smashing into the wall, which is exactly what you'd be doing, hypothetically speaking, by trying to take over the GOP and then spread these ideas from within. That's a brute force method. It's not intelligent. It's not, creative. We need to be guerrilla warfare. We're not doing line civil war, revolutionary war, firing muskets at each other in the lines anymore. We got to go guerrilla warfare style. We got to run around the bushes with knives. Okay, that's where we're at.
Well, and with that, like for me personally, I don't believe in the party system. When I was very young, I mean, I pretty much left that when I was like 25, so it's been a long time. But the reality is, I take George Washington's words to heart in his farewell address. I think they were very wise. I think he was an honorable man, regardless of whatever faults he had. We all have them. The GOP has been utterly corrupt for decades. I say it all the time on All Minus One that essentially Nixon was our first neocon president, and the next Republican was Reagan, so he was kind of independent, but he made concessions, guys. And after that, we basically had Clinton, Bush, Obama. Those weren't independent presidents, folks.
Nope.
That was the system. It was all the system.
Those presidents were bought and paid for by corporations.
That's right, and the NGOs, and I mean that like for real. Like you got to look into like the Rockefellers, look into the Trilateral Commission, look into the Council of Foreign Relations, look into all of those NGOs that are very deep seated. Look into what those folks and others did back in the day with the educational system, all of the things that has eroded our country over the years. But it's not in our country alone that this has happened to either. I mean, it's happening all over the world to Western nations. The only nations that aren't suffering this are basically the Islamic nations and the Asian nations.
Allahu Akbar.
Yeah, right. The South American nations aren't suffering the way we are, but they're slowly coming into it. But they've been fighting socialism their entire existence, more or less, anyways. So there isn't really. I don't know. Can someone name me a South American nation that is a fully capitalist, like free market nation, ever has been, ever was, that hasn't been just deeply seated in some sort of socialistic regime?
No, not now.
This isn't my area of expertise of history in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, if someone can name
the closest thing I can think of is I'm pretty sure Uruguay has a relatively free-ish kind of society, but they're kind of free-ish in the same way that Scandinavian countries are. That they have like
right now, but trust me, Uruguay went through their phase of socialism and retirements and bankruptcy.
Yeah.
I mean, we could look at Colombia and like
Shakira.
Who was the drug lord there? What's his name?
Escobar.
Escobar. Yeah. I mean, we could look at that.
Yeah.
But that wasn't within the government, right? That was
black market.
I was going to say Mexico,
but
but that's not South America. That's Central America, because that is dominated by a purely capitalistic drug cartel market where the government has very little effect on what actually happens in that country.
It's true.
But that's kind of, you don't really want that though. That's not really the good capitalism where people are hanging each other off of overpasses and stuff.
Yeah, you don't want that.
That's competition that's a little too hardcore for me.
You don't want the guns to be illegal like they are in Mexico, and the only guns that people have are illegal weapons, and they have better weapons than the actual military in Mexico. Which
Well,
is
that's the anarcho-capitalist state, which
Mhm.
again just reverts to some form of authoritarianism or another. So there has to be some sort of white night watchman that the people agree upon. I think that Jeremy, you've nailed it pretty well, and I keep talking about it's a scaling problem. We can only scale up so high.
Yeah.
And
Well, I'll
we're
tell
talking
you-
about a few thousand people at best, in my opinion.
I'll tell you this, and you can make of this what you will. Nicaragua is defined as a Christian socialist country. China is defined as a socialist communist country. I've been to both. In neither one of these countries was I reprimanded for having an open container
Huh.
of alcohol. So you can make of that what you will.
Socialism superior confirmed.
Well, I know from a Eastern European friend of mine that in some nations over there that often, if you're driving drunk, you just drive in the middle of the road, and if you come up to a car, you flash your lights at them, and they pull over and they let you pass because they know
Wow.
that you're drunk. Yes. So
that's community. That is what community looks
yeah,
like.
I agree, brother. That's a very good free
That's
market
looking out for each
solution.
other.
That requires a moral society, though, that doesn't want to be like, I can't believe you drove home from the bar. Look, matter of fact, guys, I'm not going to go out and drive, after I'm working on my third beer here, whatever. I'm not going to go out and drive because I have nowhere to go. But some people sometimes drink and drive, right? And 3 beers, a lot of people will have that with dinner. And a lot of you have broken the law on that, I can tell you right now, because basically 2 beers and you're over the limit for just about anybody.
I know. I have.
And whether you feel it or not. And the reality is that you've really not done anything wrong unless you've hurt somebody.
Mhm.
And so we have an arbitrary law on the books that basically says, well, because the worst of the worst does this, you can't even do this responsibly. And I get it. There was a period in the 70s where, you could be smashed and they wouldn't even lock you up. But look, the reality is this. Unless you do something wrong, like run your car off the road, run into a street sign, hopefully you don't kill anybody, whatever, you're not liable for anything. And we base a lot of laws on what ifs versus what you actually did.
Mhm.
And those what ifs, that margin is there because of scale. Because there's so many people who are affected by this law. We have to make it a blanket, we have to set a limit somewhere. But if you were in a town of 20 people, that this guy is going to make it home because you drink with him every night or whatever. He's going to make it home. He's going to be just fine.
Yep.
So you don't have to have a rule that affects everybody,
Mhm.
but you have to have these laws. And as you have the scale increases in a society, the inefficiency also increases. And the inefficiency comes into play with those laws and the effectiveness of those. So you have to have, you can't have a legal limit over 175 because 2% of the population can't drive with that much alcohol in their blood. So again, pulling it back to the scale argument there, it's really, it makes you wonder how long it's going to take for for humanity to figure that out. But we just like banging so much that we're never going to actually be able to control the population unless Bill Gates steps in. Bill Gates, come on, buddy. Let's get this population control in here.
I don't think we'll have to worry because they're going to starve out a lot of the world and feed them garbage, grain, wheat, soy food that's going to make them infertile in a generation or two. Look up Pottinger's cat if you are not aware of that experiment. You got something to say, Tank?
No, I'm just drunk.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna say he's a little drunk. He's
He's
feeling
like
himself.
whipping the mic.
He's like-
I really want to drink this
He's
last seltzer, but I can't. These things are so fucking gross, guys. Like
Wish
the
you
first
could
one, I was
mail it
like,
to me.
I was like,
drink it.
okay, yeah, bro. Don't do it.
The marketing in the can, it looks like makeup in a can or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like it's like Sephora, some shit.
Bon Dieu.
Yeah, exactly. It looks awful.
French is not a real
Oui.
language. 1, 2, it's grapefruit, which I'm usually a fan of, but I can't. Guys, I
I
can't.
love
don't do
like
that.
fresh grapefruit, but whenever it's like synthetic or like artificial grapefruit flavoring in anything. It's just like, this does not taste like real grapefruit. Like, screw off. Don't tell me it's grapefruit.
You know what? Monday was National Margarita Day. Did you guys know that? And I indulged. I had a handful of margaritas. And as I was out, I have to mention this because I was out there talking to a girl who, her boyfriend, go ahead. Wait, what?
I'm laughing at Osis.
Oh,
Osis's chat. I was just laughing at. Sorry.
Sex ed video featuring
to
him and
laugh
Melinda.
into the
Yeah,
mic.
that's going to be great. I finally found, I'm starting to see people in the real world say the exact same ideas that I've been talking about, where people are realizing that it is a problem of scale, and that guys are out there thinking the exact same thing as me, where they want to buy land. And she said it before I did. She said to start your own village. And then there, I was like 3 margaritas deep. I was like, oh shit, this is people actually.
Let me tell you.
People, yeah, I was like, oh, you should check out my YouTube channel.
You opened up a can of worms, son.
The point being that this is getting out there now. I think people are starting to realize, not directly that it's a problem of scale, but they're seeing inefficiencies and how shitty the government is. They don't know that it's a matter of scale yet, but they don't have to go that far to get the benefits of wanting to start their own village, breakaway societies, disengaging from the traditional political system. It's happening. It's happening out there right now.
Yeah, there is. In fact, I was about to mention it, but Joshua Ham in the chat said Pleb Ranch. So our friend Don of Don the Pleb, or Don of Plebeian or Plebeian Media, however you wish to pronounce it, has been talking about it. I've been talking about it, which is why I have tried to make friends with both of you guys. And of course, we've talked about having a monthly stream. We'll probably have Don back on for sure next month, and probably another drunk stream if you guys want to join. It would be like a Friday night. Doesn't mean you have to get drunk. We're probably
it does. Yes, it does.
Okay.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, that means we'd have to get drunk Friday night and Saturday night for our own stream.
Oh, look, you do what you want to do, right? There are no strict rules. It probably will not remain.
Yes, there is. There is a strict rule. It's you have to get drunk. That's the rule.
Okay, Tank. I was trying to be on the wagon, but I guess because Tank says I have to be off the wagon, it's time.
The stream does get deleted after airing, doesn't it?
Well, that wasn't the rule originally, but
it got off the hook.
It's an exclusive for your local subscribers. Do it that way. So
I
only
think
people who pay can view it.
Right. I think the last straw was Don announced his personal pronouns, which were words that you cannot say on the YouTubes. I told Tank initially. Tank got a text from me because he was like, "Dude," I was like, "Dude, why'd you private it?" I'm like, "You fag, why'd you private this? Like leave it up. Like screw them, whatever." And then I went to watch it the next morning. I was getting into the last hour of it. And my wife's like, she's like, "Oh, is this still up?" Blah blah blah. Because I unprivated it, and I'm like, yeah, why? She's like, do you realize what you did last night and what happened? And I'm like, no, I don't. Please support me.
No, and I don't, actually.
Yeah. No, it wasn't anything that bad. I gave too much detail about Temple's location, which was really only his county, and I talked about a bar I hang out at like every quarter once now and again. Not a big deal. I don't really care. Like. But hey, I get it.
Once your face is on posters in your local city where you live, like mine has been, you'll even when you're drunk, you'll know there'll be a little something in the back of your head that won't even let you say that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Well, you live in Sacramento, dude. My hometown has 55,000 people in it. The surrounding county has 150,000, I think. So
yeah, that's
not that worried. Not that worried.
In comparison to what we have here in Sac altogether.
Yeah, and if I know somebody, I probably know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody. It's like that at some point. And I also make friends everywhere I go, seemingly. So it's one of those things where, yeah, I get it. No, I know there might be an Antifa mob after me one day.
That's why we got to get a compound on the woods, because then we want them to come.
Yeah.
5,700 acres in West Virginia, only for $7 million. Really seriously starting to have a GoFundMe for this. Just seeing where it goes, just see where it goes. Can I raise $7 million to buy this piece of property surrounded by national park on both sides, 2 different national parks in a gorge? Who's going to come there? Come on.
It's like
West
the American
Virginia
hotcakes.
is the 3rd most wooded state in America.
Oh, that's definitely an
West
advantage.
Virginia?
Undeveloped. I live in the very developed part right now, but most of it very undeveloped.
Yeah, no, West Virginia is one of the states that I'm looking at, one of the top ones.
Dude,
sure.
it's pretty here. You get seasons, unless you don't want seasons.
Oh, he
I
can
don't
handle
mind.
the seasons.
I've lived in Arizona and Michigan,
Delaney's
so I've been on both extremes. Yeah,
Delaney's
No, I'm ready.
for that.
I'm ready.
Ready to get the hell out of California.
Well, see,
I feel so bad for like you guys because like I could have like where I'm at, like some shit. If people found out who it was, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But like for you guys, like fuck that. That sounds awful.
I don't need your sympathy, Tank.
Well,
God.
don't fucking have it then.
I moved here intentionally because I wanted to watch the collapse of civilization happen from the
Okay.
inside out. I've only been here for like 4 years.
I was born in the.
I chose to move here
I was
specifically
born in
because of
the-
this.
I was
She was born into the
born in
darkness.
swell of darkness here.
Yeah, which is-
You think you own California? I was born here. Race.
Tank and I like Mexicans though, so
I do like
you know,
Mexicans. Bro,
yeah.
my Mexican neighbor he gets rowdy as fuck. We go over there and he like puts up like a tarp and has like he had like a live mariachi band for his birthday. I got drunk as shit.
Mexicans throw down, bro.
Dude,
Mexicans
one
are
of my
the best
best buddies. One of my best buddies from the area is from Mexico originally. I actually have talked about having him on the show because I'd like to have this point of view of this guy that immigrated when he was like 16, not by choice with his family, who kind of wants to go back to Mexico, but more or less stays in the area because he's got kids here. So, it's like this dual thing where you have this American mindset where this leftist mindset, I should say, where no, Mexico's a horrible place, but also we can't say it's a horrible country. It's so crazy, but these people have to come here. They have to come here.
If people are making trash rafts to get to your country, then the country they're leaving is shitty. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, look,
Right?
I have a very soft spot in my heart for shithole countries. You could throw a dart at a map and I'd go to any country on the planet that it lands on. But you got to admit that, like, I've been to places where they shit outside. Like, it's a thing. Like, it is what it is. I don't want to.
But that's exactly why they're not on SSRIs and they're not all anxious and depressed. Is because they have
That
the shit
might be true. That
They have
might
to
be
look
true.
out while they're shitting too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they might die because a snake or scorpion will sting them. You never know.
I mean, you're living life on the edge every day if you have to shit outside and are facing scorpion stings.
Which is why you can't be a pussy.
All right, guys. Well, unless we have any more topics, I think it's probably a good place to stop because we're usually a 2-hour stream, unless folks want to keep on going. That's up to you all, but I'm sure you have things to do in your life.
Oh, by the way, Tank Osis in the chat, he says he'll take your pity. So there you go.
There ain't no reason to start flirting now. It's streams like
Jeremy, you got anything else, man?
No, I will say that I am starting an entirely new YouTube channel for specifically to focus on the decentralization and the breakaway stuff. And that channel is going to start out. It's already starting out on fire with the actual conversion of my truck into a tiny home. So that's going to be step one. And then once I get that converted, I'm going to actually start going across America looking for land to buy and start to develop. So that's, I'm doing a whole dedicated thing just for that idea because I am dead set on this and I am actually acting it out. So if people want to follow that and if you're interested, you can watch me build the truck. The YouTube channel is called Techno Barbarian. Don't worry, don't question the name. I'm going to go into the whole philosophy of techno barbarism as you continue to watch the channel. It's all planned out, but otherwise, you guys can find our regular live stream on the political and cultural commentary every Tuesday and Saturday at 7 p.m. PST, youtube.com/weekly narrative. We also have a podcast out on all podcast platforms.
Yeah, and also we joined Stereo just recently as well. So.
Yeah, we need to get on stereo, Bill, on the next one. We got to get to
I actually do have the app. Yeah, I know you told me last night to get the app. I already had it. I did follow you last night.
There's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, if you want to work at a time, man, I'm free to collaborate and work on projects with other people for sure. This is in part what look, I had to make my own stuff and whatever else, but to me, I feel like you know, I'm on some nights more than others. Maybe tonight's a little bit of an off night. I don't know. The other day I felt like it was an off day. I made a video, but regardless, this is something I feel like I wish and need to do because I have this just like 2 decades worth of knowledge I've crammed into my brain, like sitting around reading, just trying to stay awake, doing security work stuff. Like, you know, you can't do it all the time depending on what you're doing, but a lot of times you're just sitting around. It's like, okay, gotta stay awake. That's my job. Stay awake. Oh, get up, go walk around, do this. Okay, stay awake. So you read a lot and kind of obsessed with the news and whatever else. And
so we got to get you on a platform where people will actually listen to you.
Right.
Well, we might be able to do on stereo.
Is stereo? Is it like a streaming platform?
It's audio.
It's a live audio chat. So you and another person get together in a chat room, and then people just join and then listen to you, and they can upload voice clips, so they can ask you questions with their voice, which is what makes it so great. Because you know you can get guys like Osis or Boot or Josh and chat. They could chime in and ask a question, and everyone else hears the question. You can hear him talking shit. So I
know Boot is not allowed on our chat.
but I think it's
just messing with you, buddy.
You guys know what Clubhouse is, right? Clubhouse, the audio app that's getting a lot of buzz right now. For some reason, I don't know why, but the trend I think is going towards audio apps, and I think if we can get in early, we can get a good position on it. So
that's true. But are you really going to deprive the world of this mustache?
Well, see, that's our twist. That's our market. Is that we will do YouTube and stereo at the same time, so we can still see the stash.
Oh yeah.
You do get an avatar though, Tank, and you can have a great stash as on your avatar. But anyways, guys, I was saying their links, the weekly narratives, are below in our description, although not for your new show. If you want to take a minute to put that in the chat, you can, Jeremy. Otherwise, I'm just going to close out, man, and we can talk about.
I only want the people who are really seeking it out. They can watch. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good to me, guys. Hey, thank you all for watching. Be back next week. Who do we have next week? Tank? Is that March?
I think we're having.
Is Kit coming on next week? Yeah, that's Kit Cope next week, I think. 4-time Muay Thai world champ. So check that out. If that's wrong, I misremembered. I think the week after that, the 10th, we have Adam Kolkesh. So you guys, yeah, Adam was pretty easy to reach out to, actually. So very receptive to interviews. Yeah. Also, the week after that, we have Elliot Hulse. What week is that? Let me see my little phone here. The 17th, and then the week after that's the 24th, which you guys don't have to commit to right now, but I probably would want to have you guys back that week if available. So yeah, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah, pencil us in. I'm down.
All right, cool. So anyways, third, Kit Cope. That is March 3rd. March 10th, we will have Adam Kolkesh, the anarcho-capitalist libertarian type personality. Just ran for the libertarian presidency. And on the 17th, we will have Elliot Hulse on. So, guys, keep coming back every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Tank, you got anything?
No.
Yeah, the OnlyFans dead. OnlyFans joke is dead.
It's dead. It's dead.
With all that, folks, this has been the Ends Justify the Memes, and thank you for watching. Remember, the ends always justify those memes. Play the outro, Tank.
I'm talking about all the way to the top, yeah. Unjustifiably in a position that I'd rather not be in, but the cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. Macho Magnus, yeah, has got more to offer than President Jack Tunney.